Super Sons #1. Written by Peter J. Tomasi, art by Jorge Jimenez, and colors by Alejandro Sanchez. So the Bat Brat and the Superboy, I'll eventually come up with a better name for Superboy, are out in the forest running, before Damien says they're done running and it's time to take a stand against the army of robotic Robins and Superboys. Cut to 2 days earlier, where young John Kent, that's Clark and Lois' son's name, is going to school and he stops some bullying on the bus. However, after school, these bullies decide that it's time to pelt people with rocks and snowballs. Sweet Christmas! Laser eye them, Superboy. Clearly, they're just gonna grow up to be nameless thugs in a Batman book. Oh hey, he's actually about to laser blast him. But of course, his father's judgmental Boy Scoutism takes over, so he just stands with his friends ready to take their licks, until a giant snowball rolls off the roof and onto the bullies. John sees Damian Wayne on the roof and goes up. To cut this back down to an actual summary and not a full explanation, Damian has just been teasing Superboy for a while. That night, Batman reprimands Damian for skipping his own schooling, so he can't go on patrol. So what does Damian do? He goes to the picturesque home of the Kents, and Robin recruits Superboy to come help him with a break-in at LexCorp. But when they get to Metropolis, they're discovered scaling the LexCorp building by... Well, I'll save that for when you read it yourself, but it's definitely a, oh, them Duke boys in trouble now sort of scenario. Finally, the comic no one knew they wanted. Well, I knew I wanted it when the Lois and Clark comic dropped and we got a young John Kent. Honestly, that's sort of why this works so well, I think. It's in a similar vein to the Batman-Superman team-up title, with Superman and Batman both representing their ideologies well. But this isn't so much about representing their ideology, this is kind of reflective of the parenting, really. I mean, John was raised basically in a relatively picturesque home, with two phenomenal parents who basically had no qualms with being the superhero version of Pa Kent, whereas Damian was trained to basically beat Batman at a much earlier age. The dynamic basically is an innocent Norman Rockwell kind of kid being friends and somewhat of a patsy for a more apathetic Henry Fuseli kid. Don't worry, you don't need to know who that is, there's not a test later. But it is a great dynamic that Tomasi really showcases. I mean, while we do know Damian's home life by now, he's been around for a few years, we need the connection with Jonathan, so seeing him go about his day in school, and even the comparable nights they have before Robin comes to pick him up, really just expands on why we should care about these two. Now, I don't have a lot to say on the art. It's good. Jimenez really keeps a kinetic feel to the line work, giving it a playful and almost youthful art style. I know this is going to sound odd, but it does feel young. The colors accentuate the lines and bounce from being bright and warm to the darkness that comes with Damian Wayne very, very well, to ultimately make this not so bad to look at. So what's my verdict? Well, I really like the way the characters play off each other, the contrasting home lives, John's schooling, and everything, with some good art to back it up, so my verdict is, read it. Read it means that obviously it's totally worth the read. And that's all for this episode of First Issues Now. If you agree with me that this is a good team-up series, or if you think I missed the mark, let me know in the comments below. Like the Archivist Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and please pledge to our Patreon for some exclusive content, and all my goals do help my kids become nerdier, including me building a Power Wheels Batmobile for them. Check out my other channels, ComicSins, where I tally up the sins and wins of a given comic, and A Comic a Day, where this month is all about the Dark Tower comics. As always, stay golden, Inklings!